When we gather together, we light the chalice, a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. The chalice reminds us that we are connected to a much larger religious tradition that stretches out of the past and reaches around the world and leads into our shared future. And now join with me. We light the chalice as a reminder that together we are a beacon in the desert. May its light lead the way to love, acceptance, and justice as we strive for personal and societal transformation.
Thank you.
This is from Lori Ongiri, and it's from the Worship Web, which I really appreciate as a resource. Here we are together, and each facing our different human task, or maybe it's the same central one, to embrace the lessons that life delivers to us, to discern and respond as we grow, and to refuse harming other people, and to cherish flourishing. May we know ourselves as vessels of infinite possibility, holders of each other's heartaches and the tales of joy alike, weavers of one story of which we are all each have our own part. Oh, and we're going to do the opening hymn now, which is Come Sing a Song With Me. If you'd rise, and we're going to sing it a cappella together, because we don't have music for it.
This is hymn 346, and not only do we not have any musical accompaniment, but the beautiful voice of Margaret is not here with us today. So we are going to do our best. So if you know this song, please sing loudly.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and rose in the winter time.
Yay!
Yeah.
We did it.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I have a story for you all. You are welcome to come forward if you would like and join us on the carpet, or you are welcome to stay in your seats. Now, this story comes to us from Middle Eastern region, Syria, Turkey, somewhere around there. Many cultures by many names. But today, our main character is Mullah Nasruddin. And Mullah Nasruddin was a farmer, and he was out in the fields, and he was working all day long and breaking his back and sweat and dirt as farmers do. And it happened to be that this was the season of Ramadan. And so all day long, while he is there and working, he is also fasting. But he knows that at the end of the day, the wealthiest man in town had invited everyone to come and break the feast and have all of the most delicious things. So as he finishes his work, he realizes he's going to be late, and so he decides, I will not go home and change my clothes, but instead I will just wear, because it is better to be late or be more on time than to go home and be later. So he's walking his way over to the wealthy man's house, and as he walks, he is imagining the most beautiful, delicious, delectable foods you can think of. He thought of pita and hummus and olives and dates and all of the meats and sweets and treats. And he gets there to the house, and it is full of people as the fest has already started. He knocks on the door, and the man of the house opens and looks at him and goes, well, come in, I suppose, and closes the door and walks away. And Mullah Nasruddin is there, and he makes his way in, and no one says hello. No one gives him a greeting. They just all continue as though he wasn't there. When they all gather around the table to begin to eat, he tries to find a space. And there is no space for him, and no one makes space for him. No one moves over. No one says, here, have my seat. Instead, they all continue to eat and talk and ignore him as if he wasn't there. He tries to reach around one side to grab a date from the table. He tries to reach around another side to grab a bit of pita, and he cannot get through. So he says, well, I guess I'm going to go home and change, because no one seems to want me here. And so he makes his journey home, and he's thinking about all those delicious things that were there. He goes home. He takes off his clothes. He showers. He puts on his beautiful coat, and he makes his way back to the party. This time, when he knocks on the door, the man of the house opens and says, oh, Mullah Nasruddin, we have been waiting for you. Welcome in. He comes inside, and everyone greets him and says, hello, look at your beautiful finery. You look amazing. It's so good to see you. Come break the fast with us for Ramadan. They come and they give him a seat at the table. You know, we're sorry you're so late, but we have more food. Please sit down. And so he sits at the table, and he picks up a fig, and he says, eat, coat, eat. And he puts it in his pocket. And he looks over, and he finds a piece of pita, and he picks up that pita, and he goes, eat, coat, eat. And all the while, the crowd is beginning to get silent. What is going on? And so he picks up some meat and some sweets and some treats, and every time he says, eat, coat, eat, and he puts it in his pocket, and suddenly someone turns to him and says, Mullah Nasruddin, what are you doing? He says, I was here earlier, and no one wanted to help me. No one wanted to give me food. No one wanted to enjoy my company. But then I changed, and I put on this beautiful coat and came back, and suddenly everyone was welcoming. So it is my coat that is welcome at the party, and not I. So I will feed my coat. Thank you.
We have some names in there?
We do.
Okay. We will now ground ourselves in the present and honor the thread of humanity that connects us as living beings If you've had someone you would like held up and you're on Zoom, please add their name to the chat. As humans striving toward a beloved community, we have the privilege and the responsibility to hold on to each other as we live the joys and the sorrows of life. We take this sacred time to acknowledge the people we hold in our hearts, that in sharing our triumph and joy may be multiplied, and that our pains and sorrows may be lessened. We will now partake of a common UU ritual of marking our joys and sorrows by dropping a pebble in the water right here below me. And the pebble signifies a burden or a lightness on your heart. The water represents the community and the love and strength of our community to surround you, support you, and celebrate you. Today is a silent ritual. So if you have a name, you can write it in the book that's here. And we will read those names after the service, this ritual. There is also a little small bowl of lightly scented eucalyptus oil. It's lemon scented today. If you would like to anoint yourself, go ahead and do that. Please come forward if you'd like to participate in this ritual. Nina will now drop a pebble for those who are participating remotely, and then a second pebble for those who want to do so anonymously. We hold you also in our hearts. And now I'll read the names we have here. Alicia Brown, Chandra Damat, Claudia Kuzniak, Autumn, Karen Jones, and Alicia Brown. Irma, are there any names in the chat? Oh, I don't think Irma's here today.
No, I'm here.
Oh, she is, sorry.
We have George, Early, Nick, Evelyn, Shannon, Julian, Assange.
Thank you. Know that as a religious community, we also have a group of volunteers who can provide pastoral care, such as delivery of home-cooked meals, providing occasional rides, phone call checkups, and more. If you need help, reach out to them at uuclvcares@gmail.com. Today we hold up those people in the, oh, I already did that part. May we hold all that was spoken and all that is kept in the silence of our hearts in love and compassion. And now we're going to read the pastoral hymn, which is We Laugh, We Cry. 354. And we do have music for this one, I believe.
Rise if you'd like to.
We have our thoughts to receive. linger on and on. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that is within our living is an answer. We seek youth's answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human time. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a joy in being together. And in our search for peace, may we finally see, even to questions truly is an answer.
You're doing your reading, sorry.
Okay. Look at us making it through. Singing together. A constant plug that if you identify as a musical person, the worship team can use you. So we're talking today about inclusion. And when Kem and I were planning this, we were discussing the idea of DEI. Have you heard of that acronym DEI before? Does anyone know what that stands for? Dang it. Man, that was a softball. You do know what it stands for then. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I have to say, in the work world, this acronym has been quite fraught. In 2020, when the world reeled from the onset of a global pandemic, the murder of George Floyd was a spark that lit our communities ablaze. As has happened many times before in our shared history, when marginalized communities and allies began to stand up against forces of violence and oppression, this uprising quickly gained steam, and cities all over the world were protesting, rioting, putting their foot down, and speaking up. But things were fraught in our workplaces because there wasn't a shared understanding of how to do DEI right. Yet there existed this shared understanding that we needed to be trying to do it. So many organizations and systems that have already been built on inequality and exploitation were left with communities of people in the workplace saying, yeah, what's happening in the streets matters to me. Yeah, I felt exploited and taken advantage of and excluded for a really long time. It was time for us to have real conversations in the workplace about equity and inclusion, and that meant we would have to pull the cover back on practices of exclusion and inequity that we had been practicing for a really long time. And my team and my workplace felt this acutely. I facilitate a lot of the inclusion work for my team, which is interesting because I am not a DEI expert. I'm just someone that thinks that it's better to have uncomfortable conversations and fumble our way through than pretend that we don't have to have it or not have them at all. And it's a difficult balance to strike, finding a place where everyone feels safe enough to engage while remaining willing to hold and hear different ideas and lived experiences than our own. It's hard when we're in places that invite our hearts and spirits and backgrounds to the table to not offer those vulnerable pieces up and feel scared that somebody might say something about them that feels hurtful. Sometimes these efforts are really difficult. I wish that my workplace had a covenant of good relations like our UU communities do. It would make the work of these crucial conversations a little bit easier. This work of DEI has a lot of on-ramps, and this is what I try to tell my teams. It's important to start this work with what matters the most to you. Maybe having your pronouns known and respected is so important to you and your identity. Maybe having access to kosher food is critical when we come together in spaces. Maybe having flexible scheduling and available childcare is central to your life. All of these things are the work of DEI. When I facilitate these listening circles and professional development sessions, we talk about moving beyond performing diversity, equity, and inclusion to actually embodying it. But we all have to start somewhere. And oftentimes we start with performance, right? We start by putting our bodies in the shapes or our mouth in the shape of the words that we want to say, even if we're not entirely sure that we know what they mean or that we agree with them yet, or that we can have a crucial conversation when someone comes up to you and says, "What did you mean by that?" And I feel differently. I encourage people to ask themselves one question as they make decisions and move through their day. Does this foster greater belonging for my team? Does this action and decision foster greater belonging for the people that I care about? Doesn't necessarily mean your interests are always at the forefront of a decision that's being made, but does this movement foster greater belonging for the community that I love? It is our duty and privilege as people bound together by our commitments to justice and equity to move through the world attempting to foster greater belonging. As Verna Myers said, diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is being asked to dance. We gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can together do the work of many. The offering supports the mission of the congregation to be a beacon of love and justice in the desert, and supports local organizations working to make our community a better place for all. Our offering this month is shared with the Solidarity Fridge and the Little Library. The Solidarity Fridge is a new mutual aid initiative that's committed to strengthening our community. Indigenous food warriors, guided by their ancestors and rooted in community, oversee this project. You can visit, volunteer, or donate to their community pantry, their garden, their seed share initiative, and the free library that they offer. This offering is a spiritual practice of generosity that our community does every week, and we welcome you to participate as a member or a friend today. The link to donate your offering will be in the chat on Zoom, and our ushers will pass the plates where you can donate. And now, please join with me. With gratitude for the abundance in our own lives, we give for the life of this congregation and the benefit of the larger community. Thank you for your generosity.
Time now for gift box, and I hope the kids that are here will come up, come join us. Thank you, Samuel. This is the gift box today. See if you can figure out what might be in it. A little heavy, she says. Oh my if you would. That's thought. Good job. You opened it up for us. Let's look inside. What do you see? They're dates. And I also have some napkins, because if you've never tasted dates, you might not like them. But and we could also have them share out with the community. The importance of dates is that in Ramadan, that's a Muslim holiday that begins this month, and you know what the dates are about? Pouring? Oh, no, well, it's one of the very first foods eaten after sundown by the Muslims and the Islam community, because Muhammad used to do that. He used to eat 3 dates and drink some water, and so they do that sort of in memory and honor of him. They fast for a month from dawn to dusk, and Ramadan starts today, or tonight, actually. Do you know anything about Ramadan? That's right. People fast every morning, and they're not allowed to eat while the sun is up. And Ramadan has many parts. Today we're going to be asking about how Ramadan asks Muslims to transform or change the focus of their attention. They are trying to move away from worldly things to spiritual things. By fasting and feeling hunger, it means they're able to focus on compassion for those who are poor and don't have enough to eat. And it's also time to shift their relationship towards God or Allah. So do you know how to change your attention if you need to? By fasting is one way. What else? Well, you can try some music or some other things that are creative, reading something, and that can help change your life too. So you want to try a date? Take a date. You want to try one, Samuel? Okay. Do you want to pass these around to see if any of the people there want to do it? Thank you very much. What do you think? It's good. He likes it. There are 3 very important dates we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to talk about them from the oldest first, down to the present time. And the oldest event is the start of Ramadan in the Islam faith. Now, I've heard of Ramadan. I knew it was a day of fasting, or a month of fasting from dawn to dusk, but I needed to learn more, and here's some quotes from the Quran about Ramadan. "O you who have believed, decreed upon you is fasting, as a decreed upon those before you, that you may become righteous." And then there was a second one that I really liked. "But to fast is best for you if you only knew." Now, being a doubting Thomas myself, I thought I would check out what science says about fasting, and I learned some interesting things. Studies show that fasting can increase your human growth hormone. It's an important protein hormone that plays a growth in your growth, metabolism, and weight. Secondly, quote, "Fasting has been shown to improve the biomarkers of disease, which helps you know if you're sick of some disease. It can reduce oxidative stress and preserve the learning and memory function. Scientifically, if you fast, and 16 hours is the magic day for a one-day fast, your triglycerides are broken down into fatty acids and glycerin to provide energy. Next, the liver converts those fatty acids to ketone bodies, which provide the main source for many tissues, but most especially the brain. So the purpose also of fasting is to teach you self-restraint. Now, I also ask myself, why is Ramadan so important to the Muslims? It turns out that one of the striking features is that the Holy Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad during this time. It is at the end of Ramadan. There is the night of Al-Qadr. The Quran says, and what will you make you realize what the night of Al-Qadr is? It's better than 1,000 months. Muslims spend this night of Al-Qadr in prayer and meditation, seeking forgiveness for their past sins. According to the Quran, there is salvation in this night, a chance to be cleansed of all sins and reborn as a righteous Muslim. Actually, Ramadan begins this evening and it continues until April 9th. And April 10th is the night of Al-Qadr. And as we showed you in the gift box, dates are very important during Ramadan. We can say to each other, Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan Mubarak. That means something like Happy New Year. The second event is that March 10th is the day that Harriet Tubman died in 1913. As we don't really know the date of her birth, they chose the date of her death to memorialize her. If you don't know much about her, I recommend the movie Harriet, which is on Netflix right now. One scene which resonated with me is when she ran away and her master finds her and she's standing on a bridge over a rushing stream as he approaches her saying, come home, it'll be fine. She says something like, you don't know me at all, and she jumps right into the river. Another thing I learned from the film was that she led a platoon of Civil War soldiers, and they rescued 700 slaves as she worked in South Carolina with the Union Colonel James Montgomery. And she was the only female commanding troops at that time, as you can well imagine. It was her work on the Underground Railroad that made her the most famous. She used many disguises as she traveled around the South, and one of them was to sit and look at a newspaper because it was well known that she couldn't read. What a clever woman. During a 10-year span, she made over 19 trips to the South and rescued over 300 people, including her parents from her old plantation. She didn't lose a single passenger, and she was called Moses as she was helping to free her people. And the last event is Friday was International Women's Day, and Inspire Inclusion was the theme for 2024. And frankly, I'm not feeling very inspiring these days. So of course I had to Google, how do we inspire others? And I got some suggestion that I'm going to share with you first. Be authentic and true to yourself. So I was by saying I'm not feeling really inspired these days and disappointed in the direction of the world, frankly. Stick with what you love is the second suggestion. Okay, I love my family and this church community and making a difference and giving to charities. Express your enthusiasm. Oops, I'm kind of falling down a bit there. Excel at what you do. And I'm trying to be better. I'm exercising, even when it's too hard to follow the patterns on Just Fit. I understand my failings and I'm working to improve. Care about people. Oh yes, I do this. I enjoy meeting new people here at the church. I express appreciation for what they do and try to give gratitude. Challenge people to do their best. So here and now, I will say that we are a great community with lots of love and enthusiasm and many dedicated people who make this place work. And we'd love to find each one of you find some way you can help. Just ask or look around. We work because everyone does a little teeny bit. Finally, it says to lead by example. So I printed out the slogans from the International Women's Day and put them on our walls. They can read some of them. get people thinking about how we can do more. Another suggestion was to make people feel good about themselves. And I will work on that. Practicing gratitude is one more thing I can do, because we all like to be appreciated. So it suggested that I start noticing what I like about other people and mention it. So I noted that. Finally, it says to help people heal. And I want to mention that Monday night, my daughter-in-law called me at 12:30 in the night. Arabelle was feverish and she needed to go to the ER. And Alex, my son, the police officer, was off working a night shift. So I went over to watch Nick by sleeping in her bed. Belle came back at 5:30 a.m. with a very tired mom and a multi-purpose antibiotic working to heal her. So I can check that one off. Share lessons from your successes and failures, it suggests. This way you can be a resource for others. Share your information and be vulnerable and willing to share your failures, because failures are very rich learning experiences. Stay cool in tense situations. Good point. Enough said. Focus on the positive and be happy with who you are now. All right, these ideas are beginning to inspire me. Keep your promises and tell the truth. And communicate clearly. The article concluded with this quote: "In the end, everything you need to inspire everyone around you is contained within you. So get out there and start inspiring people with who you are and how you live your life." So I'd like to add for you, may it be so. So now we need to delve into the second part of the theme, inclusion. I think we know what it looks like, with a wide group of different people working together on some project. It means including the disabled and the people of the global majority, in other words, people of color, not us bleached out white folk. People of all genders, including the whole LGBTIA+, and then trans folks too. It means searching out for Asians, Native Americans, Africans, even Australians and Maori, and so on. Learning about other cultures is really fascinating. I've been lucky enough to travel all over the world, and I've learned that children everywhere love when you blow up a balloon and bat it around with them. And the smile mostly brings another smile. I've also learned that kindness and selfishness are pretty universal. But the world we know works so much better on kindness and compassion. So now let's talk about the posters I put around. One of them says, "I will help forge a gender-equal world." One of the ways we can do this is to acknowledge women's accomplishments. In our church, we have an excellent lawyer as our board president who works in the area of trusts and estates. And I'm prejudiced because I'm currently working with her about updating my estate planning. Another example is that I learned the story of Rosalind Franklin, who did some pioneering X-ray diffraction studies, which helped Watson and Crick learn about the double helix of DNA. After this work on DNA, she also worked on a molecular structure of viruses. And after she died, her team member, Aaron Klug, continued her work, and he won a Nobel Prize in 1982. She never got a Nobel Prize. We can also raise our prejudice about bias. We all have them. And there was a recent article about a story that baffled about 21 people were told it, and then amazed that they had such an unknown bias. There was an involved father who was coaching his son for a job in a tech firm. And on the day that the son was being interviewed, the CEO of the firm texted the boy and said, "Don't worry, son, you've got this." And people theorized that maybe this was a male couple, or perhaps the CEO was the grandfather. And others were just simply baffled. And I know the answer's probably already occurred to you. It was the boy's mother who texted him. I heard a similar story about a father bringing his son to the hospital, and then the surgeon who saw the boy on the operating table exclaimed, "Oh my God, it's my son!" And even with that experience and having worked to extinguish that prejudice in my own life, I guess that story fooled me because a tech CEO is so often a masculine job. Finally, we can also take actions for equality. Only in 2019, only 62% of American men believe that women are paid less for the very same work. And I was personally outraged when I learned that in the popular show The Crown, the male actor playing Prince Philip was paid more than the women playing Queen Elizabeth. And that means we also have to recognize toxic masculinity and work to value the sensitivity and empathy we find in men. We can work to be the change we want to see in the world. And I say that again. We can work to be the change we want to see in the world. Another poster says, we will forge positive visibility of women. We can do this by reading more women's history books, raising awareness of the contribution of local and national women, writing letters to the editor, and increasing our own awareness of the women's contributions. For example, my grandson knew that I was struggling with this sermon topic, and he sent me a link to the 10 most inspiring women in diversity and inclusion to follow in, and boy was I impressed. One of them was an expatriate woman who living in another culture by educating and coaching them. Another is the Executive Vice President, Chief Diversity Officer of Santander Consumer USA, which I'd never heard of. It's extensively involved in financial services, including vehicle finance. One of the most challenging posters reads, I will call out gendered actions or assumptions. And one of the ways that women are often limited is by harassment and catcalling on the streets, which limits our freedoms to walk around their environment frequently. On college campuses, women have partnered together to respond back and to confront the harassers, but without a group to help you, I think that's a very difficult problem. I don't advise confronting them as a single person myself. Another problem is the media and advertising, showing women as waitresses and coffee servers and secretaries, and men as the bosses and the leaders. Even your own family living room, you can call attention so that the children in your home become more sensitized to the images. And you can also recognize how seldom disabled people are shown, and often how negatively. Finally, you can look at how white some of the advertisements are and call attention when they notice that diversity is shown and displayed. And I will admit that sometimes when there's all people in a commercial, I've wondered, do they really want my money? And that's prejudice right there. And it makes me realize that that's how many people of color probably felt with those all-white commercials. Finally, calling out assumptions can be very hard because we're blind to them often ourselves. The best I found relates to stereotypes, which are often the common cause of assumptions. In raising children, let toys just be toys. Let boys and girls play with trucks and planes and kitchen sets and also have tea parties. In raising children, you can also plan meaningful meetups with women in diverse jobs. If there's a new female fighter in your local fire station, drop on by with your kids and say hi and welcome to the community. Or if there's a female veterinarian with your pets, ask them about their work and how they became one. Show them that there are a variety of choices for both women and men. And you can also consider books about different jobs for everyone. Male nurses, for example, often suffer discrimination. And do your watching and then talk about it. So look at television shows and movies and discuss how gender might have influenced the action. If the main character was male, would it have made a difference if it had been? Would it make any sense if they had been female? If not, why not? Was there a focus on appearance for the female characters? Did they mention female accomplishments? What fields are they in? Emphasize that everyone should have their chance to pursue their very own interests, even if it's a boy who likes sewing or a girl who likes sports. Also show that chores are just that, work. Make sure everyone learns the same skills. My father, for example, insisted I learn how to change a tire before I could get my driver's license. And my brother had to learn how to cook, which he really did appreciate eventually. Rotate the chores no one likes so that everyone gets a chance at unpopular work, which is often smelly or messy. I remember when I'm changing the diapers of my younger siblings, and I would hold my nose with one hand, as I did it often. And don't let them talk just about the founding fathers of our country. Women were just as important and contributed in many fields. Encourage them to understand that fathers couldn't create our democracy without some domestic partners who took care of the business of life, the cooking, the laundry, the cleaning. And also, there were very many women that made a meaningful contribution to history. I'd like to mention some names. Florence Nightingale, Marie Curie, Rosa Parks, Margaret Thatcher, Marie Wollstonecraft, Jane Austen, Ada Lovelace, Rosalind Franklin, Emmeline Pankhurst, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Susan B. Anthony, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Amelia Earhart, Mother Teresa, and so many more. So I wish you well in your ongoing efforts to inspire inclusion. Ashe, blessed be, and may it be so. And now, if you would stand up, we'll do our closing song, Spirit of Life.
Keith, are we playing music with this one or just a cappella? Our beautiful voices. All right,
Okay.
let's do it.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shade of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
The Religious Education Team has announced our Spring Religious Education offering. In the month of April, we invite you to join our Spirit in Practice programming. And we're working right now to make sure this is available to adults, children, and folks that are interested in joining on Zoom. Spirit in Practice was created to help Unitarian Universalists develop regular disciplines or practices of the Spirit. Practices that help us connect with the sacred ground of their being, however we understand it. Spirit in Practice affirms religious diversity while seeking unity in our communal quest for meaning and wholeness. Whether you follow a path that you identify as humanist, Jewish, Christian, pagan, theist, atheist, agnostic, mystic, any or all of those, or some blend of them, or nothing at all that I mentioned, we follow in our diverse congregations things that look multi-religious, and the Spirit in Practice workshops offer a forum for learning, sharing, and growth that enrich all of our faith journeys. This will be offered as longer, intensive sessions on Saturdays in April. Please follow the QR code on the pages in the social hall to receive more information and sign up.
Please take a moment just to become present, to pause and notice where you are in this moment. Our work today is at an end, and our work has just begun. The work of holding one another and this community we love. The work of trusting that we are on the right path. The work that believing what connects us is stronger than what separates us. The work of engaging in that which makes us whole. The work of deeper understanding and commitment. The work of letting go of that which doesn't serve us. The work of radical inclusion. The work of collective liberation. This is the work of this beloved community, a beloved community of which we are all part, a place where we are welcomed, respected, valued, cherished, a place where we belong. So go in peace. Amen, and blessed be.
And now join with me. We release that which is called with love and gratitude, and we extinguish the flame, but not our commitment to being a beacon in the desert. May this burn brightly until we gather again.
We have room for 3 announcements to be read at our Sunday services. And if you'd like your announcement read, please email Irma by Thursday and she'll get it to the worship team for inclusion. Please include the name of the event, the date and time, a contact name, and no more than 30-word description. Our first announcement today is that next Saturday from 5:30 until 9 p.m., you're invited to join us for the kickoff of our pledge drive. It will be an evening of food, music, and dance, all happening here in our building. Please follow the link in the flash that went out 2 days ago to RSVP for this fun event. We're also looking for another child care worker to support our growing congregation, which is a wonderful thing that we're growing. I was told this morning we had over 100 people attend last week, which is amazing, between the kids, people in the sanctuary, and virtually. So we're growing, which means we need support for the growth. So if you're available, interested, or you know somebody who's interested in that child care worker position, it pays $15 to $17 an hour, and you can be in touch with Karen Metcalf for more information on that. And finally, the Las Vegas Men's Chorus is an LGBTQIA+ aligned group with the mission of strengthening our community and allies through musical performances. The chorus is performing their spring show entitled The British Are Coming on Sunday, March 24th at 4 p.m. on UNLV's campus. And for more information, you can see Breton in the back. Thank you so much for being with us today. Next Sunday, join us for our Stewardship Kickoff Sunday service. It was a blessing to be together. May you feel included and embraced in the week to come.